けど頼りない翼でもきっと飛べるさ Oh my
Hello everyone, and welcome to special episode 31 of Lost in Translationmon. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
And this time we watch Super Evolution Stage, Digimon Adventure Tri, the adventure on August 1st. And this is thanks to Onke, who provided the fan sub for this, so we are very appreciative of that, because otherwise we would have to watch it raw, and we would have my sort of like, I think that's just what's happening.
We wouldn't have watched it because I wouldn't physically be able to understand what's going on.
Yeah, I would have watched it and I wouldn't have known much about what was said because my Japanese is very bad. So just for a brief synopsis, it starts off with they're deciding to go on a camping trip, and then Sora says, hey, since it's nearly August, why don't we just go on August 1st? And we'll make it a little bit earlier and we'll just go on August 1st. It'll be sort of like this nostalgic thing, and we can reflect on things, and we can all, because that's how we all met, and before only Sora and Taichi really knew each other, besides obviously the siblings, and we'll reflect on that.
Mimi and Koshiro were in the same class, so they knew each other.
Yeah, I think so. But I believe Mimi and Joe also knew each other.
So, yeah, each sort of pairs of them knew each other, but they definitely didn't all know each other together. And this is sort of where they met, and it's an anniversary thing, although I guess it's the first time they're doing it.
Yeah, and they all say, oh, yes, we'll all go. And Joe says, okay, I'll go, but I'll only go for one day.
Well, he doesn't say that. They don't find that out until they're already there.
He says that later, but he's all on board, and Taichi's very surprised, but they also think that Taichi won't go.
So, initially, Mimi's having a big deal about how we're going to do it like the cavemen did it. We're going to have nothing. We're not going to do a bungalow. We're going to do tents, and we're going to forage in the wild. And it takes a long time to convince Izzy to actually come along, and also she throws his laptop on the ground.
Yeah, because he keeps on Googling things while she's talking. She's like, okay, how did cavemen do it? And he Googles it.
Exactly. This is how you light a fire with sticks. It's impossible. You can't do it.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Hikari sort of goes up to Tai, who's playing with his soccer ball, and she's like, are you going to go to this thing? He goes, look, I don't know. Joe's definitely not going, so I don't know if I will either. And immediately there's a call from Joe. He's shocked and takes the phone from her, and Joe's like, all right, we're going on this camping trip. Now, I know it's going to be difficult getting Tai to go, but he's a huge bonehead, so you got to explain to him the right way. But I think I can do it, so just pass the phone over to him. And he's been listening the whole time.
Yeah.
And so Tai's like, yeah, that's me. He's like, oh, Tai! That's fine. Hey, we're definitely going, right?
Yeah, Taichi's like, who are you talking about? And he's like, well, I'm talking about you, Taichi. It's kind of like comedic moment, like the whole phone call, because Joe's like jumping around, like touching them, and like Hikari looks weirded out the whole time because she's being touched by someone who's not actually there.
A ghost.
Yeah, it's actually quite well done.
Yeah.
I like it.
And so they eventually convince Tai to go, and he's clearly going through some stuff, which is the stuff because we established this is after episode 2 of Tri. It has to be because
I believe it's around either 1 or 2, but I believe it might after what they said at the end, which was we can see where Meikimon's gone. It implies it might be after chapter 2, or maybe during chapter 2.
It seems to imply that Meikumon just did something evil and ran away.
Yes.
So it is presumably after the end of episode 2, and which would give them the time to have this little adventure. And Meiko wouldn't be with them because she wants to be alone.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. So that happens, and they finally convince him, and they all go on a big trip, and they go hang out at the camping ground. And honestly, this is my favorite part of the whole play, is just the kids hanging out, camping, and they show up, and Mimi has not brought a tent or anything with her.
She wants to do it like cavemen. A
but she promised she'd at least bring a tent or like tools and things.
Not like what she did for the original camping trip, which was when she just stole her dad's stuff.
Like, she was more prepared for that one than she is for this one. And then Tai, but they're all like, okay, we're going to leave now. And Tai says, no, you know what, we're going to stay. And, the last train leaves at 10 p.m., so we're going to just hang out here and we'll see what we can do. And if we're really struggling, at 9 p.m. we'll leave. And that's fine, right? We'll just go home.
Yeah.
And he takes charge, and he's like the leader again. And you go, great. And everyone's on board with it, except for Joe. But then they stuff a backpack in his face, so he shuts up.
Yeah, poor Joe.
And they go on the trip, and they're all telling him, oh, this is what we can do. Joe will go fishing with Gomamon. And he's like, Gomamon, your marching fishes will help. And Gomamon's like, no, I won't.
Yeah, Gomamon's like, you can't just rely on me for everything.
He should say, no, those fish in particular are my friends. But he's not doing that. Either way, Joe had the right idea. I honestly think so. Then Garmon's like, I can use my claws to cut stuff up and it'll be great. We can peel potatoes. And Mimi goes off to find fruit. And they tell her, look, we're in the Okutama Mountains or whatever. We're right next to metropolitan Tokyo. We're not going to find fruit here. And then they all have their own little jobs they're off doing.
And it's during Butterflies playing. Like, it's the intro.
Yeah.
Like, the opening of of the stage play and butterflies playing, which is really nice to hear.
As like a little montage sort of thing. And Mimi comes back with bananas, which I had a theory at the time, which was just wrong. They were irrelevant. The only thing they did was to be a sign that there was something weird in the world.
Well, straight away we have someone saying, bananas, we're not on File Island.
Did they? Oh, they did
Yeah,
specifically
someone
say File
says,
Island.
yeah, we found bananas on File Island, but we're not on File Island.
I love the idea that they've never seen bananas in their lives except there. It's like, oh, that's a Digimon thing.
Yeah, so I mean, they weren't exactly bananas. They were kind of like weird things where you ate the peel, I think.
That was weird, yeah.
But the point is that the straight up way someone says, we're not on File Island.
You immediately like suspicious. Joe caught a fish, which was fine, and Matt's been cooking. And we literally liked when Mimi comes back and he goes, cooking? I can help. We got bananas and fish. We can put lots of stuff in. That would make the curry way better.
Yeah, and everyone's just like, Mimi, what are you doing?
No, they all like look at her like they're afraid.
Yeah.
Like, and she's like, "What do you want me to do?" And they all go, "The best thing you could do right now is nothing. Please don't help." I would be afraid of her cooking as well.
Yeah.
She says a line later. It's like, I've been really into this like experimental cooking lately.
Yeah, when she's saying her future occupations or what she wants to do, she's like, yeah, experimental cooking seems good.
That's pretty much the same thing as reckless chemistry.
Yeah. So then they all start talking about what occupations they want to do, and the only one's figured out is Joe. He's just like, well, I realized when I was in the digital world that we were seeing so much death and so much pain that I didn't want to cause that pain. I wanted to see if I could help it instead.
I think this is the bit where he's like, look, I've got a mock exam tomorrow. I gotta be
Yeah.
at. So I know we're all meant to be here for 3 days, but I'm gonna be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted to be a doctor. I'm going to be a doctor, and I've set my sights on it. And no matter how hard it is, it's what I'm gonna do. And then they sort of get up and they start talking about, is this what you want to do? Look, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Hey, Kara, you said you wanted to be a kindergarten teacher, right? Which is why we thought that she might have been her in Tamers, because they had the same voice actress.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, that's something that's good, but I don't know. And they've all sort of wishy-washy with like, yeah, they have an idea, but they don't really know what they want to do. At which point Joe sees a shooting star, and he's like, look, it's up there, and no one can see it but him.
Yeah.
And they theorize, well, maybe it's because Joe knows what he wants to do, and he can see clearly.
There are a few people who say, oh, I kind of like Takeru does mention that he kind of likes writing.
I think that was later when talking about his mom.
No, I think that was before that. I think there was this part, but it wasn't like, he wasn't clear. He just sort of said, I kind of like writing. It was the same way that Hikari says, I mean, I kind of want to be a kindergarten teacher, but I'm not sure. Like, it was a sort of vague sort of maybe, but it wasn't, someone being sure about something.
Yeah, Ty, you're going to play soccer? He's like, yeah, definitely. I don't really know. So they're undecided. At which point, Edamon breaks in. He showed up earlier. He's like the campground organizer.
Like
he's
supervisor.
clearly Edamon. And he has this great bit where it's surprising that this, like, I thought it would be a running gag, and it never was, which is like, okay, this is the campground, welcome to it. You'll find that there are monkeys! And he stares off into the audience. Yeah. And then waits, and then turns back and just, they're around here. And then just continues the sentence entirely. About those monkeys! Would you like to see one? And he starts to unzip his vest. And he's like, oh, you want to see one right now? And Ty's like, nah, don't really.
And he does a pick up and he looks very upset with himself.
Really embarrassed, like, oh, okay, I'll just go. So he returns at this point. He's like, "Hi everyone, how you doing? You having a good time? You're living your youth. You're awake at like midnight, and you're not sleeping, and you're keeping other people awake, and you're having fun." And they're all sort of apologizing, and then it's very clear he wants to hang out with them, and they all get creeped out, and they make him leave.
Yeah, he keeps on like hugging them and like saying, "Oh, isn't it great to be young?"
And they're like, please go away. And he eventually does, looking upset. And it's Edamon the whole time. And they don't. But they're like, oh, it's weird. I feel like we know that guy. Do we know that guy? He sounded familiar. They said he had a feminine voice, which I never pick up. But maybe that's a cultural issue.
Maybe.
Because to me, it's always like Elvis.
Yeah.
Which actually, there was a bit during the intermission where he says something. Like, they all cheer for Edamon or something.
Yeah.
And then he says something very quickly. And it's translated as Lord have mercy. And I have to assume it is a Japanese like exclamation that doesn't translate directly, so Lord have mercy is the Elvisism. Right. Like, oh, well, what would Elvis say here? Oh, Lord have mercy.
Well, I'm not sure because I'm not good at Japanese.
Lord have mercy. No, it's actually probably not what he would say. I don't know. I'm not an Elvis guy.
Yeah, and then they all go off to sleep, and they like sort of separate, and Taichi and Yamato talk, I believe.
They do, and he's sitting on the backpack, but they sort of mostly sit in silence as you cut to the girls in the sleeping bags.
And Mimi just wakes up, and she's like, "Everyone, are you awake? Sora, are you awake?"
No. It goes, Sora, are you awake? Sora. Hey, Sora, if you're awake, say something.
And she just jumps up, and she's in her sleeping bag. I love her.
No, what's it? Oh, no, yeah. Mimi jumps up, and Hikari's like, she's not going to answer you if she's asleep. So they talk, and Mimi's like, "Hey, you want to talk about crushes? Who do you like? I like someone. I'm not going to tell you. What do you like?" And she's like, how do I answer you? What's the point of this conversation?" And they go back and forth about it, and then they both sort of shut down on each other because they don't want to talk about it, and they all just turn to Sora conspiratorially, like, let's get her.
No, before that, a really great part was, he was like, "Let's tell scary stories, do you have any?"
Oh, that was
And
sick.
he was like, "I don't have any. Do you have any, Hikari?" And Hikari's like, "I guess I have one." And he's like, "I'm scared already, but please go on." And it's like this, and
The actress is really good here.
Hikari just start, yeah, the actress for Mimi is so good and so on point for how Mimi actually is.
And so Hikari starts telling the story. It's like, okay, when I was younger, I started hearing voices, and I started walking, not under my own control. I ended up in this beach, and there were these figures with red eyes, and they said, "Oh," and she's telling the story about how when
The
she
Dark Ocean,
went to the Dark Ocean, and Cthulhu was there, and Mimi was like, "Okay, no, tell me when it's daylight. All right, I don't want to hear anymore."
Yeah.
And so when they go back to the discussion about crushes, they're like, "What, Sora, huh?" Which made me think, well, finally going to get a definitive discussion about Matt and Tai? And the answer is no.
Well, we know that Sora did possibly go out with Yamato in 02.
Yeah, that's true.
But they may be broken up at this point.
For sure, who knows?
And they are, I believe, dating in the Valentine's CD drama.
Yeah, well, it clearly doesn't work out for them if they're on and off like
Yeah.
this.
I mean, they get married.
Yeah, well, that can end.
Unfortunately, I want Taiyo. I'm now a Taiora shipper.
Like, when he's off in space, who's around? The UN diplomat. All right.
Oh yeah.
Why would you go to space? The digital world's right there, and you can walk home. Space is so much less interesting when there are other dimensions. Anyway, whatever. So they bother Sora for a while, and they talk, and I do not remember what they talk about. Help me out here.
I don't remember either. I think it's just like maybe he's trying to get an answer out of crushes. Oh, it's also about ambitions and stuff.
Yeah, it's what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And still, I don't know. Because the key theme of this entire thing is about growing up. And what I've always found very fascinating about this story, because most of these otherworldly stories where kids go somewhere and they make friends, etc., the thing that represents them growing up is when they leave and they have to go away from it. Tamer says something like that, where you're growing up is your Digimon going away. Whereas in Digimon, it's so weird. You're growing up, but the Digimon are always going to be there. Like, the little monsters, they're still always going to be around. Peter Pan, you go home and you're done with that sort of stuff, and you don't age forever. So you don't not age forever. In Narnia, they go back and they're kids again. They lose all those experiences. That's how these usually go. And I think Digimon's weird in that it's clearly got themes about growing up and evolving and progressing with your life and becoming an adult, and yet it never lets go of the small monsters who are your friends.
Yes.
It's weird.
I mean, occasionally you'll have a reference like, we stay the same, but they're still growing.
Yeah, I mean,
And
the Digimon
in 02,
recognize
it
it.
happens in Tri. So then, is this when Edamon shows up and then actually reveals that he's Edamon?
No, that's after they find out they can't leave.
Oh yeah, when they go and they find the barrier.
Yeah. So, what is it? I'm trying to remember exactly how this goes. It's a long thing. We did just watch it.
Yeah.
I think it's Izzy's hanging out at the barrier, and he's figured out, like, he's trying to walk away and he hits the thing and he can't go. And he's like, something's up. And they check their phones and the time is like
37:33 or something.
yeah. Okay, it's like, how's that possible? Okay, and no, it's the morning, and Izzy's like, have you guys noticed something that's weird? Right? I've been thinking, he's writing on the ground, right?
Oh yeah, he's saying, what's the probability that
We'd be at the campsite
Yes,
in
with
August
no one
1st,
else.
and there's no one here.
like the start of summer?
Yeah,
The summer holidays is August 1st usually.
and it's 0.00003%, and he's like, that's insane. There's no way this could happen. So then he gathers everyone together and he's okay, have you noticed anything weird? Anything at all? And Ty's like, well, I caught a bunch of fish, but that's fine. I'm just great at fishing. And Mimi says, look, I didn't think it was relevant, right? Because I thought my watch was a piece of crap.
Because you go to the flea market.
Yeah, flea market in New York, but the time is 37:33, so it shouldn't be doing that. At which point TK goes, that's also the time on my phone. And so obviously the probability of both things screwing up in exactly the same way is impossible. So they go to the front entrance of the campground and they can't leave. And they realize, they sort of theorize, is this a digital gate? Are we in the digital world right now? That would explain like the bananas we found yesterday as well. And it's, it's a huge problem. At which point I think now Edamon shows up.
Yeah.
And he's like, haha, I've been here the whole time. you didn't know because of my clever disguise.
And then he sort of like reveals, and he's like, "Everyone, take off my hat because it's too hot. How do you handle the heat?"
Oh yeah, and so he's this hilarious. Like, he's this comedy, like big comedy villain.
Well, he was always the comedy villain. That's
No,
the thing.
but before he was kind of like a little wacky guy. This is like a straight up like looking at the audience, winking at them.
Oh, he breaks the fourth wall constantly.
And it's a good time. So he gets him to take off his clothes, which when he got Mimi to take off like the apron part, a little bit concerning, but that's fine. It's not like she's the only person he molests in the entire show.
Jeez.
Ty. So that happens, and he reveals himself, and he tells the story. Well, first of all, they're about to fight, and Palmon looks like she's about to evolve to fight because Agumon's limbs aren't working for some reason.
Oh, and also Taichi says his Digivice isn't responding.
Yeah. So Palmon's about to evolve, and then Edamon's like, no, I can stop evolutions, remember? We watched the show and remember what bad guys can do. And he says, I know that, I went easy on you last time, but keep in mind, I'm tough. I'm a strong enemy. You can't, I'm a real toughie. And so I think Tailmon tries to fight him, and he's like, nah.
No,
also, he sees Hikari for the first time.
He's like, who are you? You look like a little sister type.
And he's like,
cute.
hey, kitty, you're adorable too. So they try to fight him, and he fails.
Because they've never met.
Exactly. Because Hikari wasn't around. That was the next arc.
And when Metal Etamon came back and Hikari was there, Metal Etamon only saw Joe and Mimi, and that was when they were with Saber Leomon during, I believe, the Puppet Monarch?
I think so. And they specifically reference Metal Etamon later, so that was this Etamon. It's confirmed through this.
No, well, we know it was because he mentions it. He explains how he became Metal Etamon. He was in the big ball with Datamon, and then like he sort of merged with it, and that's how he became Metal Etamon.
Right.
No, it is explained. So
he says that he gives a story very similar to Hikari's where, he went to the Dark Ocean, but he was there, and he goes, how long has it been, guys? And they go, it's been like 6 years. He goes, yeah, 6 years would be nice. I was there for 100 years. And he hates Tai so much for defeating him, which is weird though, because the Metal Etamon was defeated not by Tai.
Yeah.
So you'd think that he'd focus on that, but the original defeat was Tai, specifically Metal Greymon. And he's like obsessed over him for ages. And he goes, for the first couple of years, I hated you. Oh, did I hate you? And then I realized that hate's really close to love. And I'm pretty sure I love you now. So we're going to be together forever. And it's this really like fascinating. I can totally see how his motivation got here. And it makes him really unpredictable and really scary.
Yeah, and then he says, well, I'm going to keep you here forever. Because and the next scene which is sort of like after the intermission, but I'll just go into it now, when he's like cooking them yakisoba, it's kind of like, it's terrifying. But he's being nice to them. But he's being like, he's clearly holding there against their will. As I saying, I will feed you barbecue and we will stay here forever.
There's definitely an edge of something is wrong.
Yeah.
Just before the intermission, he says, all right, so now you'll see a super evolution on stage. He dropped the name of the show.
Yeah.
And they drop the thing down and he does his big dance, and it turns out what he's doing is he's summoning the Etamon 5. Yeah. And there's 4 other like mini Etamons who are different colors, like a Sentai team.
Yeah.
And yeah, they drop an intermission at this point. And during the intermission, Joe comes out. And,
like just after the intermission.
Yeah. Well, it's during the intermission from our purposes. Yeah, because it's before Etamon comes back and says it's over.
Yeah.
So Joe comes back.
Also, just before the intermission, Etamon keeps on referencing how it's the end of the first act.
Yeah.
Because he's just kicking down that fourth wall.
The like one of the Etamon 5 turns to the audience and is like, we'll be back soon after the intermission.
Yeah.
So Joe says like, he did his mock exam and he feels amazing about it. He feels really great. It went perfectly. He remembered everything. He's so happy about it. And Goemon's like, I'm really proud of you. I think maybe going to camp really helped you out.
Yeah, and Joe's like, yeah, you're right. It did. It's all I needed. I needed to like refresh my mind before a big exam, and I did really well. It was just the mock exam.
Yeah.
And he was really happy with it, and that makes me happy.
And he's got English later, but right now he's got he knows he's got a call from TK. And he wouldn't get a call if it wasn't an emergency, so he's going to go check out what's going on with that. And then we cut back, and Etamon comes out with these big like wooden clappers and starts like addressing the audience. He's like, "All right, who's the best Digimon villain of all time?" And the crowd's like, "Etamon!"
Because everyone knows Etamon. And
he's like, "Yeah!" He's really happy with himself. And he reintroduces the show. He's like, "Welcome back." And he gave a very brief recap, and then he starts clapping again, and the curtain raises. And he's everyone's, they were all really afraid beforehand. Now they're all like, ooh, barbecue, delicious. And all hanging out with the Etamon 5. And everything seems okay until they start talking about like making yakisoba. And they ask Kara if she wants something. And she's got her arms crossed. And she's like, don't want any. I don't want anything. And she's obviously not falling for it, or she's got some separation from the happiness of the moment, and she's concerned. And she storms off.
No, they Edamon 5 come in and they say, oh, what is it? You want to diet? Well, you're on that age. They say, oh, do you want it without noodles? What do you want in it? And they're kind of being like...
You can't have carbs if you're on a diet.
Yeah, they're kind of being overbearing. And then, she says, well, I don't want this. I want to go home. And she leaves. And then Mimi also says, hey, I also want to go home.
I want to have a bath. And she leaves. And I don't remember who the other one is, but someone else leaves.
Sora,
yeah. And Edamon's like, and he's getting really aggressive about it. He's like, no, I want you guys to stay here forever. Like, because the time is like 57. No, yeah, it was like 63:40 or something.
Yeah, the time keeps on going up.
It's like, do you know what happens when it gets to the 100th hour? I don't know either. We'll find out. And it's like something's going on here. Yeah. And we cut back to the front entrance where Izzy's like, okay, all right, we can't get out of here. And he shows that you can't walk out. And TK tries it. He fails as well. And it's totally not working. And
then Joe comes through.
No, that's later.
Yeah, no, it is during the scene. But what happens first is he says, yeah, I only got through to Joe's voicemail. And Koshiro says, well, that's good. That means that you actually connected through to him. You're still in service.
But it's after they sort of work out. We're pretty sure this place gives you we're in a version of the digital world, and it's giving you the things you want.
Yeah, well, they say that about that's just in the digital world in general. It just gives you things.
Yeah.
And then when Joe shows up, he says, well, that could be fake. It's just what we want to see. And then we find out that Joe is able to pass through the barrier. Okay,
but we should say specifically how they do this, which is, all right, Joe, prove it. He's like, I don't know how. They're like, well, then go away. We don't think you really. Goes, okay. About to walk out. Do you really want me to go? Yes. Okay. But really?
This is so cute.
Yes, Joe. Oh, all right. And he starts to walk away. And he runs back. Oh, but are you sure? Yes. Oh. And Joe walks away for like a fourth time before finally TK runs after him. It's like, wait, no, hold on. Wait. And Izzy goes, oh god, that made no sense. I've overlooked multiple big problems of this theory. And they're like, what? Well, here's the thing. If it was the digital world giving us what we want, how did he come from outside the gate? He walked in from the real world. We know that. So it couldn't possibly be that. And the fact that Joe can leave means that they're not trapped there by the circumstances. They're trapped there by some other factor.
Yes.
And he goes, well, what's the only thing that Joe's got that they don't? He knows what he's focused on something else. He's got his dream of being a doctor, and he knows what he wants to do to move forward, because the theme is growing up and being an adult. So he can leave and go back and forth because he's not obsessed with being stuck on August 1st and being in the digital world.
And he's already looking towards his future, and no one else is. He's the only one who's sort of like, well, this is my future now. Yeah.
I actually think there's a subtext of this entire show, which Zero Two touches on occasionally, but I don't think Tri does a very good... And Tri touches on it as well, and I don't think he does a great job of it, which is, what would these adventures in the digital world do to children, like, as far as traumatic experiences go?
Oh, no, I think, no, Tri does touch on it in the first chapter with Taichi.
That's what I'm saying, is I don't think they do a good job of it. I think they do it in a small way, and they say, yeah, a little bit, but, like, TK should be messed up by this, and he's a totally normal kid.
Yeah.
They're, like, Tai being, like, a soldier in 02, and Hikari with him, is more how I would expect it.
Oh, yeah. Like how they said we have to kill the kids.
That was the best.
We have to show the kids that we can kill Digimon, and we have to.
And that just never really feels like that again. It's weird that Tai goes from that to being traumatized, in the opposite direction, where now he's afraid of everything, within years of nothing having happened.
Yeah, within 3 years, yeah.
So that's what happens in Joe. They get him to stay, and in the meantime, everyone's left, and I think it's Edamon's like having an argument with Tai. And he's like, no, I can kill you anytime I want, but I don't want to, because I love you and we're going to be together forever. Definitely. It's going to be fine. I could kill you though, because he's obviously unbalanced.
Yeah, which is the scary part about it. Like, I was just like, I hate you, but I also love you, but I also want to kill you. Let's fight. Yeah,
let's fight right now. Evolve your Agumon. He goes, no, I really can't. And then, because he can't, they all sort of interrogate Tai, like, what's going on with you? What's happening? And he's very defensive about it.
And I believe it's Hikari that says, but most of them say how at the start of the camping trip, it was almost like he was when he was 10.
Yeah, he's
energetic. He was being a leader. He was showing that he was like he was when he was 10. Or I believe, no, maybe 11. I think he was in Adventure.
Yeah, which is not at all how he was right beforehand.
No.
So something's going on. Clearly he's...
regressing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I can't quite remember what happens next.
Neither do I.
I think they just... Oh, no, there's moments between Digimon and kids where they sort of talk about what they want to do, and Mimi says, I lied before. I don't have a crush on anyone, but I do kind of know what I want to do.
Wait, hold on. This is right after Izzy explains what the Y2K bug was.
Yeah.
And then they all sort of go away, and Joe's talking to Matt. And he goes, Matt, I see something's up with you. Do you want to talk about it? And, I've got TK to leave. It's hard to talk in front of family. And Matt goes, look, I need some time. And Joe goes, look, we got plenty of time. It's 99:51. And then he goes, we can wait. And then it skips really hard to the 100 hours. And then everything starts to go really weird.
Yeah.
And then it goes to 110. And then we get our little montage.
And they're also
them.
all seeing their young selves. And they're all reflecting on how they were when they were young and how they've changed. And they realize, they are growing up.
There's a really cool, the way they use the set is really cool. It's mostly these, white backgrounds, but they got these projectors going on them.
I love the set. The set is, one of my favorite things about it, it's also so easy, too. They just project things.
It's a little low budget that way.
But it's really good, the way they do the effects and the way they move around. I think I like it.
Yeah. And so they're going back and forth about, what are we going to do? How do we progress? We feel like we've regressed and we don't know what to do. And the Digimon, I think one of the best things about this show is how the Digimon are clearly not just tools of the kids. They are different personalities, and that's how they can give new perspectives.
Yeah.
So if, I think it's Piamon's talking to Sora, and she's like, your feelings that you're the same as you've always been is wrong. I've seen you grow up. I know that you have changed. And Goemon's got his little conversation. Goemon's already gone back and forth with it. It was TK and Patamon have their back and forth, in which the Patamon's actor looks so happy. He's always so happy. And all the kids have discussions with their Digimon, and Gabumon's helping Matt come along, and it all goes, and I think the last one who really hasn't gotten anywhere is Tai, because he's stuck, and he has a very touching conversation with Agumon about how he wants to go as well. And they realize that, they've all sort of accepted that, growing up may be the thing we need to do, but the corrupted digital world is still around them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's because Edamon also wants to regress because of his weirdness with being away for 100 years.
Yeah, and he also wants to go back to the time and spend lots of time with the kids, especially Taichi.
Yeah. So Taichi's like, okay, you want? We gotta beat Edamon, and he evolves. Because he's got his conviction, he can evolve now.
Yeah.
And he evolves Agumon to Metal Greymon, and Metal Greymon defeats Edamon.
And we get sort of this. We actually see a Metal Greymon, and it's kind of
giant silly puppet.
Which is fine.
Looks terrible.
How the budget probably wasn't,
Oh, it clearly
budget,
wasn't.
so.
That's fine.
And
doesn't mean it looks good.
Fine. I feel like the what they did with the lights and the effects.
I feel like Frontier.
I feel like if we were in the audience, it would look really good.
I feel like if you're in the audience, but
when they had the shot from far away, when they had the establishing shot where you saw the whole stage and Metal Greymon was there, he looked really good because they had the lights on him, they had a bit of smoke, they had things that were covering up the people behind them, and it looked really good. But as soon as we got close shots of him, it still looked fine, but it looked a little bit like paper mache.
Well, that's probably because it was.
Yeah, but when it was far away, it looked good, and I feel like if we were in the audience, it would have looked good. But because we had close shots, which we wouldn't be getting if we were in the audience, it didn't look that good, but I still thought it was fine.
Yeah, so breathes smoke on Edamon, and he appears to die.
Yeah.
And it's all good until basically Edamon comes back, and he's wearing a robe now. And you're like, what's up with that? And he goes, you thought you defeated me, but I'm fine. In fact, I'm going... you beat me once as Metal Edamon, but I found another evolution.
But the best thing is, he says, you weren't there for this, but I do have Metal Edamon as an ultimate level.
But I don't even need that. I'm going to go one higher. King Etamon. And he does a big evolution, and there's a cute little change. Which looks really great, because it's Braveheart, but it's a different version of Braveheart. Corrupted Braveheart.
Corrupted.
And corrupted evolution screen. And he comes out and he's dressed as King Etamon now. And then he pretty much immediately disappears, and he's he beats up Metal Greymon a bit.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, that was easy. But also, this area of the digital world, basically, this is my body. You can see me here, but I use this entire world as my limbs. Do you remember these guys? And all the bad guys from Adventure come back?
Yeah.
As projections. All the Dark Masters are there. And
Devimon's there, and Venom Vandamon.
Well, a weird devil version of Venom Vandamon.
Yes. I think it's Undead mode?
Something like that. And then it mostly focuses on Venom Vandamon, who has a big face, and he's got this weird, silly talking loop, where he's like, no, I'm going to kill you now, and he's moving around, and Metal Greymon's chasing him and failing, and it's a cute effect. It's a little silly, but it's fine. It's a stage play. You expect that. And then basically Venom Vandamon starts saying, I control the whole world. I'm going to crush you. And it's it's implied, I guess, that he's grown out of stone and is then pushing against them. Because I don't think it conveys it perfectly, but it conveys it well enough.
I think it was
where they're
fine.
pushing back on him, and Tai is like, they're sort of losing hope, and all of a sudden you hear Metal Garurumon help them out.
Yeah, and he freezes Venom Vandemon.
Yeah, and then there's an evolution to Omnimon. And Omnimon's this giant set of shoulders and a head on the ground.
Which I mentioned,
and the actor stand on his shoulders.
I mentioned to Jay that outside the theatre you could actually pose with this and like stand on his shoulders.
It's really cool.
And I would have loved to do that.
It's really awesome. And then they defeat Venom Vandemon because when it cuts to black, because there's no way to animate the giant shoulders.
It's been there the whole time, presumably.
Yeah, just behind, and it doesn't have arms or any moving points. It just has lights in its eyes.
And it cuts to black for, I want to say, like a minute.
No, it was like 10 seconds, but it felt quite long.
It felt long because it was just black and some sound effects. It's like, did the video turn off? Tap, tap, tap.
And then they come back, and the kids are just like in the back of the real world now, and they're all dressed in their school uniforms again.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, that was weird. Oh, they look down at the uniforms. Oh, it was all a dream. And then Joe goes, if it was all a dream, then I didn't ace my mock exam and I have to do it again.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And it's like
that was my favorite part of the whole thing.
Usually I hate the it was all a dream thing, but I was like, no, this kind of makes sense.
Because how could this be canon?
Yeah, this is a perfect way of saying it's not canon, but it also sort of maybe. And then they immediately say, oh well, we've got Mekumon that's still causing the distortions, and if you put the goggles on, you can see the distortions. And we also have to see how Mochizuki's doing, which is Mako.
Yeah.
And so they're actually saying, oh yeah, we have to actually check on her. So they're not like completely forgetting about Mako, because Mako's not mentioned the whole time, except for now.
As if she didn't even exist. It's like the opposite of episode 5.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And then I believe it just ends. And they sort of like, they've got resolve. They've realised that they do have to grow up, and they sort of aren't stuck in the past again. But they will revisit August 1st as like a memorial thing, and they'll come back 4 years, 10 years, whatever. They'll be back. Yeah,
we're not stuck in August 1st, but we're happy to. We're still going to celebrate it because it's an important day.
Yes, and they've sort of like accepted that. Like they're not sort of like wanting to regress anymore. They want to like just appreciate August 1st as like for the memories, but not for what they are now.
Thanks for the memories, even if they weren't so great.
And then because this was like the DVD version, it was like recorded on the final night, so we have like this cute moment with the cast members, which is really cute. And they get like 4 curtain calls.
And they all come out and they give a little speech. They all give a little speech, and then they all come out again, and Ty gives a speech, and then he comes out again and gives another speech.
Yeah.
And they're all just like, thank you all for coming, and it's all really nice.
And Joe's really happy. He's just like, it's so great to see, like, well, the actor that was Joe said it was really great to see everyone loving Digimon and still in people's house, and he's really hyperactive and happy about it.
Yeah.
And Mimi's actor was like, yeah, I was really happy I got to play someone with so much energy all the time. It was really nice.
The most I've ever been in my entire life.
Yeah, which she did that really well. Like, she put a lot of energy into Mimi, because to play Mimi, you have to have a lot of energy.
Ooh, I'm scared already. Now tell me. And that was it. That was the show.
What were your highlights?
My highlights are pretty much all of the character interaction before the actual story begins, which is great. I really enjoyed that. I actually thought the story was relatively boring when it became an actual, like, oh, here's a crisis, we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Although Edamon's whole thing, and Edamon the actor generally, was great. I thought the idea of how they brought him back in was fascinating. And it's what's important about this story is, and the way that it's been adapted to a stage play, is that, well, the bad guy is not here to kill you. He's not here to fight you. There will be a fight later, and that'll be the climax, but it is so much more important, the emotional journey and the background of what's going on here, and that's allows you to have a much more cerebral story about, like, trauma and what's going on.
Yeah.
Rather than if anyone just turned up and like, I want to kill you now, and there was like fighting on stage for 40 minutes.
Yeah, because I feel like I feel like the fighting part wasn't really necessary, but I feel like they put it in because it's Digimon and they wanted to show off their puppets.
Cough, cough, end of V-Tamer.
The fighting wasn't the important part, like it was actually the journey. And as you said, yeah, it was the whole Edamon was also like wanted to regress. He wanted to be back to the way things were in Adventure, which is sometimes what the fans want, like that they just want everything to be Adventure again.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, that feels like one of those things where fans think they want something, and if they ever got it, they'd be unhappy about it.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think that's what you always get. You're consistently getting the way things were back in Adventure, i.e. kids who don't know anything going into a digital world and learning it from the ground up.
Yeah.
And I think having experienced that like 4 times now, it's garbage every time, except for maybe the first time where it was fine. And what Digimon needs is fresh ideas where it's not like that.
Like Atmon.
Atmon was like that because Atmon was different because it was phone apps and it was mostly in the real world, and the interaction wasn't about learning about the digital world. Though you did. It was mostly about its own story. V-Tamer was like that because, yeah, you go to the digital world, but that's not the issue.
Yeah.
The issue is the political war that's going on.
And also he already knew about Digimon to begin with.
Yeah, of course.
Like he said, these Digimon aren't from File Island, they're from
Server.
Folder. I believe it's
Folder,
Folder.
yeah.
It's Folder because Server's the one they went to in Adventure.
So he's already really knowledgeable, so he doesn't need to learn that. Even Zero Two, to an extent,
They had Kari and TK.
had like that upside of like people who already knew what was going on,
Yeah.
which made it feel different to Original Adventure, Frontier, Tamers, and Savers, where they also had to learn it from the ground up. And you know what? That's the worst part of Tamers. Easily, they go to the digital world and they're like, "Oh, I'm here now. I gotta learn this place from the ground up," because we've seen it.
Yeah, and it happens basically in every season of, you're right, that they have to relearn the digital world and we have to relearn with them.
And that's it comes with this problem of like, but we've already learned it so many times, we think we know the rules.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, the rules have changed. Not for any good reason, just because we feel like it. The baby and training stage are the same.
In Savers.
They're the same.
Any other highlights?
Not off the top of my head, I guess.
Well, I really liked the Knife of Day, how like
that was strong.
It's clear
I totally forgot about
Yamato, yeah, we didn't even mention it in our synopsis part, but Yamato clearly named Knife of Day, and the other band members are kind of like, yeah, I'm not really feeling this name, and they all agree.
Well, because what happened was Knife of Day was his old band, because that was in episode 1.
Yeah.
And this is episode 2, and they go, it's a totally new band except for Matt. And he goes, well, okay, it's Knife of Day, but with new members. And they go, I don't know what this Knife of Day. He goes, yeah, Knife of Day is great. It's cool with the new members. I love the song. I'm really not sure about this Knife of Day name. No, the song's great, okay? Band's good. Name's great. He's so into it.
And this is, I guess, when they become World on the Edge of a Knife, which is in chapter 2.
It must be.
I think, because Knife of Day was, I believe, just mentioned in chapter 1, I think.
It was. Knife of Ramen, I recall.
I also really liked the Dark Ocean reference. And I guess there were 2 of them, because Edamon said, I was in the Dark Ocean for 100 years.
It's
so
important.
he was there while Hikari was there. He should have mentioned Demon being there too.
I guess he would, Demon.
Because Demon was banished there.
I guess he was. V-Tamer takes place in the Dark Ocean. Who knew?
What if Demon got out the same time Edamon got out, and Demon is actually causing issues in Tri?
I mean, that would imply that this is canon.
What if, though? What if?
That would imply that this is not a dream and B, a canon story.
Yeah. I also really like the harmonica. How when Taiji says, hey, remember the first night we spent in the digital world? And
can you just play the harmonica for me? And Matt doesn't even say anything. He just pulls out his harmonica and he plays it.
He doesn't even say, can you play the harmonica? He sort of like
he
tiptoes around the
it.
idea when he's sort of like, you know that first night, and you woke up and I was keeping watch, and
you have it with you, is what he says.
Yeah, and like he just starts playing like mid sentence, and it's really cute.
And he almost does it perfectly.
I think it sounds fine.
Almost. He drops a couple notes at the end.
And I really like this scene. And then another highlight was, and it's just like this minor thing, but Enamon doesn't know Hikari.
That was good.
And
the continuity in this was very strong.
And apparently, and I just heard about this on the latest With the Will podcast that I was on, the director has not worked on Digimon or heard about Digimon before.
Well, that means they did their research.
Yes,
good on them.
He did a bunch of research. And to the same way, Taichi didn't meet Metal Enamon, and that's also referenced.
I'm like, why can't the show be this good with that?
The thing is, before I was told about how Hikari and Enamon didn't meet, that wouldn't even pass my mind. If they didn't mention it, I wouldn't even thought about it.
I guess I wouldn't either, because it's not, I probably wouldn't have thought about it at all in the first place. Yeah. But especially since he comes back. And you have to think of that one as well.
Yeah.
Because that's, at least at the very least, Edamon's around after Hikari joins the team. So, of course, they'd know each other. No, they don't.
Yeah. And same with Metal Edamon not knowing Taichi. Because, that was Mimi and Joe with Saber Leomon.
It'd be really funny if he's like, Leomon's not here to save you now.
Yeah. And Taichi's like, what? And
that's right. Oh, he's died like 4 times. Oh, jeez.
And depending on how this is positioned in the series of Tri, he might have died, just died, depending on if it's...
Most likely.
It might just be like, I think it might be before chapter 2, but I'm not sure.
If Megumon's gone. So Mekumon's gone.
But the name of Knife of Day isn't World on the Edge of the Knife. So it could be like during chapter 2. No, if
Mekumon's gone.
But
maybe World on the Edge of the Knife was chapter 3?
No, that was chapter 2. It was the festival. Chapter 2 was the festival.
Right.
And he says, we have a new name now. We're World on the Edge of the Knife. Unless they were just World on the Edge of the Knife for the festival.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Could be.
And also the song that he sings in the stage play is also the ending for chapter 3. So it could just be after chapter 2. And that could have just been an irrelevant band. And my final highlight is the scenery. I really liked it. I liked how they were projecting things onto the backdrop. I thought it was quite cool. Very easily done, but I really liked it.
I don't know if it was necessarily that easily done. You've got to have
Not cheaper done? Like cheaply done? Like it's a bit cheaper than...
It wasn't the most expensive way of doing it, for sure.
But the way that it was spread out, like, fitted really well, especially with the evolution
was
scenes.
done very well. And, the voice actors for the Digimon were pretty amazing because they had to time it perfectly with the puppeteers.
And I think they were actually the same voice actors for the Digimon. Not for the children, obviously, because they didn't...
They had to be the actors.
They had to be the actors. But the actors were great, by the way. Like, I feel like the ones that seemed the most true with their mannerisms were probably Mimi and Joe.
Probably.
Because Joe was, like, sort of, like, a bit anxious and he was taller than everyone else. Like, that's...
Yeah, his mannerisms of being tall.
No, I'm just saying mannerisms, and the fact that he's tall.
Oh, no, Matt was pretty broody, so that's accurate.
Yeah, but that's pretty easy to be. Like, I felt like Joe's, like, sort of, like, how he was sort of, like, anxious. Like, he was just sort of a little bit all over the place. And the fact how
Izzy's was good, too.
Izzy was good, yeah. But I'm just saying, I think the best one was Mimi and Joe, for me.
Okay.
I think Mimi in general is fantastic. I like how she's in her beanbag, and he was saying beanbag, sleeping bag, and she's just like, you awake? She's so Mimi.
All right. Answer me if you're asleep.
Yeah, and no, there were a lot of bits that I like, and I just know for a fact that after we're done recording, I'll think of more things that I like because I just really, really, really liked this. It was great fun. What rating would you give it?
It's really good. It's like a 9.
Gee, I was gonna say 7, but yeah, no, you're right. Because I'm always like,
I enjoyed the whole thing.
Yeah, I thought you would have given like a 7, but I know you're right. It is close to a 9. It was enjoyable. It was fun. It was probably better than a lot of Tri, maybe.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much better than everything in Tri.
When I looked at the time, it was like 2.5 hours. I was gonna be like, oh no, this is gonna be boring.
Time for pain.
And it wasn't boring. Like there were bits where like kind of like I don't like the fighting bit, I guess, but the interactions were really nice, and it had a nice theme of like growing up, because I feel like that should be a big theme in Digimon, because we've known them since they were 11 and now they're older teenagers and they're becoming adults. And it needs to be more of a coming of age story, and I feel like the stage play did a good job. So if you have not seen the stage play, I highly recommend that you do. It is good, and I really enjoyed it, and I feel like this is probably one of the best things that come out of the Digimon franchise, maybe.
It is, but it's a weird one of that where you can't like recommend it by itself. I think that you have to have watched Adventure, yeah. You have to have watched Adventure, and 02 is irrelevant.
02 is completely irrelevant.
That's one thing that they didn't say. It's like, oh, we should go back home and talk to Ken.
Oh, no, the only thing that was relevant about 02 was the Dark Ocean.
Oh, that's right. That is important.
But we didn't see their D3s.
The first half of 02 is less important.
Yes.
I don't remember seeing a Digivice. I know they were holding it like they were holding it.
The Digivice on the Evolution...
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about...
Oh, no, they weren't, because they'd be too small.
Ty was holding something. Well, he would have had a prop, presumably.
Yeah, he probably would have had a prop, but we didn't actually see what he was holding. He could have just been holding, like, his hand like this. Like,
I kind of suspect it might have been that.
Yeah, but it wasn't necessary. Like, it might have just been like a cube, or it could have been like a Digivice
But as if they
toy.
couldn't get them, because like a Digivice toy would make sense, because that looks about right.
Like a CSA Digivice would be perfect for that. Actually, I think I did see photos of the actors holding up CSA Digivices, unless I'm misremembering. But no, it's we didn't actually see Digivice props because it didn't really have to, I guess. It was too far away anyway. But it was I was really impressed. Like I already pretty much had high hopes for it, because everyone said how it was better than Tri. And everyone was singing its praises. So I already kind of like had high hopes, but that was also worrying, because I was like, oh no, what if it's bad?
This is pretty much exactly what I would want from Tri.
Yeah, and it was like, it hits you in the nostalgia. It references it slightly, but not as much that it's like in your face about referencing, like, hey, remember this, remember this, remember this.
No, but it was like, we remember this.
Yes.
And thus it's part of the story.
But it wasn't them just saying, oh, remember when this happened? It was like, it was nice little references. It was nice. I really enjoyed it. I'm really happy we watched it. Are you happy I made you watch it?
Yeah, no, I'm alright.
Because I know that you were kind of like, do we have to watch the stage play when it comes out?
Yeah, I was resistant to the idea.
But then at least when I told you yesterday, and I was like, hey, people really like the stage play. And you're like, okay, well, that's fine. Then I think your hopes lifted from that.
A little bit.
Which is good. Alright, so I think that's it for our discussion on the stage play. Thank you for listening. And thanks, Jay, for, as always, coming on to talk about Digimon with me.
It's okay. I'll only die sooner than I would otherwise have, as this drains my life force.
So, as always, everything's going to be linked in the description, as well as our Redbubble, which you can buy more than just shirts there too. You can contact us and stay updated. You can email us at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com, or you can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud. You can follow us on @TranslationMon on Twitter, and you can find us on LostinTranslationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will and a red thread in the Digimon subreddit, and we would appreciate if you would review us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and any other podcast listening app that you use. Ratings really help people find the podcast, so we'd really appreciate it. We'll also read it out on our main show too in Post 1 Pat. We also have a website, and you can vote in our weekly polls, check out our release schedule, and check out our blog posts. You can donate to our Patreon, which is linked in the description, from as little as $1 a month, and that gets you access to a listless Slack chat group, but there are higher levels, more rewards such as notes, early episodes, and more.
And thank you to our Patreon supporters, Sam Krieger, who has a podcast with Stevie called The Moncast, Stevie, who is also Stevie Padmon on Tumblr, is currently taking commissions there, Wu Qinglong, who you can find at twitch.tv/Wu Qinglong, Metamomemon, Joe, Anime Guy, who is Anime Guy Kurosaki and the number 1 on YouTube, Sharkmon, Hiro Olato, who's at Hiro Olato on Twitter, Jason Morosky, Ryuchi, who's for us Meratic on Archive of Our Own, and inkit.com/Ryden Allen, Stephen Reeves, who is at Wildwing64 on Twitter, Kaitawashi, Mac, Noam, Riku, Chisai, who you can follow at Chisai236 on Tumblr, Kyle, Delady Bugman, whose anime blog you can find at baguburagu.wordpress.com, Glitchgoat, Ezra McCool, Gene Hackmon, who hosts New World Sonata, which is a sci-fi fantasy audio drama podcast, Matthew, Anthony, who's at AntoClassic on Twitter, Lizmet, who's a like one on Tumblr, Sithobi, Elivorg, who is Elivorg on Tumblr, Sporky McForkinspoon, who hosts a Digimon podcast called Going Digital, Megan, Kyliak, Neobu, The Time Optimist, Silverhead Freak 25, Harvey, Alex, Nicholas, and Thunder.
You can also make one-off donation on PayPal, which we found in the description. It's paypal.me/airjamon. Make sure to let us know the podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Bye.